Hi, this is Tom Schuman, and welcome to Music Conversations on Jazz. Back in the year 2007, my friend Wade Erickson and I produced 10 of these, and I thought it would be nice to re-release them. So sit back and listen to our Conversations on Jazz.
Welcome to Music Conversations on Jazz with your host Tom Schuman of Spyro Gyra. Tom's guest for this week is jazz saxophonist Jeff Kashiwa. Tom and Jeff have been friends for a long time, going back to when Jeff was a member of the Rippingtons. More recently, Jeff performed on Tom's latest solo project, Deep Chill, which they'll be discussing during the show. This music conversation took place in Jeff's hometown of Seattle after a Spyro Gyra concert. Jeff was just preparing for the release of his new CD Play that came out this summer.
So, hey, here we are at the luxurious Jazz Alley condos.
On a typical Seattle day.
Yes, raining and cold. I'm sitting here with Jeff Kashiwa. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Tom.
I miss you, man.
I miss you, too.
It's been a while since we've seen each other. The party on December 2nd was a blast. Man, it was great to have you there. And you just played your narrow ass off.
Thank you.
It was fabulous. Everybody's still talking about it.
It was a lot of fun.
But let's get down to my questions for you because, you know, I've been researching your website. Great website, by the way.
Thank you.
JeffKashiwa.com. And did Dave Hooper do that?
He's hosting it, but my wife designed it.
Oh, Shantae.
Yeah, Shantae, yeah. And we're actually going to go through a new redesign with the new release of the new album, which is coming out soon.
Which one is, when is that
That's coming out in June. So we're going to redo the whole website and, you know, get it ready for that.
So that's after Simple Truth.
Actually, there was Peace of Mind after Simple Truth.
Peace of Mind, right. Peace of Mind is the latest,
and
right.
So the new one, I think we're going to call it something very simple.
What is it called?
Play. Play.
Play.
Because
I like that.
Everyone, Joe Schuman and I of Native Language Music, that's the label. He just said he always interviews me like, "What is this about? What is just in the simplest terms? What's this new project about?" I said, "Well, I just want to do something where I could play on it. I want to play instead of holding my breath and whatever." So we just call it play.
Well, that's kind of your whole approach these days is to be more of a live band in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, I really respect that. Really, you get a lot more done, don't you think?
There's
in a shorter amount of time.
There are technical aspects that make it more complex when you have so many things going on at one time.
Right.
But I think the musicality, the music that you pull from the music, pays off for that.
Sure does. Are you still working with Chuck Loeb?
I haven't seen him in years. I talk to him on the phone every now and then, but in a month I'm going to play with him.
Oh man, what a great producer and great musician and great guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he was involved in some of Spyro Gyra's productions, and he's the first producer I've ever known to say, "So when I play this track, just play anything, anywhere." And I'm like, "What? You mean you have no specifics? You just want me to just do whatever I think is right, whenever I think it's right?" Yeah, man, you're the man. You know,
you're the man.
He's the cat.
You know what to do.
No, but I mean, just that kind of freedom, you know, to establish that kind of creative atmosphere is just dynamite. You know,
he's a pretty good friend. I mean, we rib each other a lot. He typical of Chuck. He'd say, "Hey, Jeff, just be free, play anything. Then we'll do a take." I'll go, "Yeah, play anything but that."
Yeah, and he's a funny guy too.
Yeah.
But I really love the music that you've been producing. You've got, well, this will be your sixth one.
Yeah.
The newest one will be your sixth. My goodness, you've been very busy.
It's been taking a long time.
Right. But gosh, I mean, what a history. And you know, first of all, I like to start at the beginning because you know, I'm always fascinated as to how musicians attain their sound and their dynamic and their musical abilities. First of all, by the way, Jeff is a little sick today, but we're going to deal with that. That's okay. You'll be fine. You get a little wheatgrass juice, man.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
You look healthy.
Well, you know, I'm still dealing with the weight, but you know. But anyway, back to your beginnings. At what age did you start actually picking up a saxophone and deciding you wanted to play it?
Let's see. I was I played clarinet first in the 4th and 5th grade. I think when I got to the 8th grade, I wanted to play saxophone.
Wow, clarinet is tough though. I mean, that's tougher than saxophone.
Yeah, it is.
Because you have those open holes.
Yeah, and the embouchure is a lot different than saxophone.
So it's kind of like the fingering on a clarinet is kind of a combination between the saxophone and a flute, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I guess so, yeah. But totally different embouchures. It's
Obviously,
yeah.
Man, who were your teachers? I mean, is it strictly school teaching or?
I did for clarinet. My first teacher was my father. He played it like as an amateur, and he knew the fingerings, so he taught me the fingerings. And my first lesson. I was sitting on the arm of the couch next to him.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And I was too small to even work the thing, so I had to hold the bell with my feet like a snake charmer to hold it up. But we just started with the left hand, of course, and then you had the right hand.
Right.
But he was my first teacher, and then the school provided teachers. Had a real good school program here in the Shoreline School District here in the Northwest.
Yeah.
And they had very good teachers and a lot of good programs and extra bands you could join. And it was really truly became my entire world at that point. I spent all day, any free time in the band room.
So you were given books and instruction from teachers in school. And where did you find material to actually listen to in order to get inspiration from other musicians?
There's a teacher who's still a dear friend, I'm happy to say, John Law. He came and was the new teacher at our school when I was in 8th grade. And he brought a shoebox in, and for all the jazz people who are interested in jazz, he brought a shoebox in and said, "This is mandatory listening. You don't have to like it, but you have to listen to every one of these tapes. And then after you listen to it, you come back to the class and you tell us what you did or didn't like about it, right?" But it was mandatory.
Wow.
And so we took him home, and I fell in love with jazz at that point. One of the tapes was, maybe you have this, Bob James BJ4, which was Bob James' 4th album. But some really nice, it was, pop instrumental music.
Yeah.
Beautiful music. And I just listened to it over and over and over and over again.
That's not the one with the taxi theme on it.
No, it's a couple before that.
All right.
But the same genre, really melodic, and that's where I discovered this kind of music. And some Phil Woods, of course, was on the tape, and Cannonball. I liked them all.
Yeah.
That's where it started.
And your other influences, I think, what I saw on your website was Pat Metheny, Dave Sanborn, Michael Breckard, Kenny Garrett, Cannonball Adderley, Joshua Redman, Bob Mintzer, Sting, Seal. There's a whole bunch of other than sax players. You listen to pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, some guys I listen to now, vocalists. I like to listen to a lot of vocalists because of the way they phrase, and the tone of their voice and the vibrato. Like Amos Lee, who's sort of a soul. He just a real simple guitar, vocal,
right.
And just a wonderful voice. But John Mayer.
Yeah. Well, your sound is very, and I mean this totally as a compliment, it's totally identifiable. I mean, I can listen to a whole bunch of sax players and I can pick you out.
Oh, thank you.
I think the main thing that saxophonists have to really try and achieve is not to sound like anybody else. I don't know what kind of advice that you would give in order to achieve that.
That is the eternal quest. And Miles said it the best. He says it takes a long time to sound like yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
Because for me, my own personal take on the whole thing, and the way I experienced the development was, at first you don't have any kind of sound. You can't even operate the machinery yet.
Right.
And then after a while, you start to develop a sound. And then the question is, well, what is my style? Who do I want to sound like? That's when you start copying, and that's part of the process. There's nothing wrong with it. Emulation, listening. I call it bathing in music. I had a cassette tape, as I'm sure you did, at one near my shower, in my bed, in my car, in the kitchen, and in the den. I mean, just all over the house, to wherever I was, I could just plop it in.
Sure.
Back then it was cassettes and listen to it. But anyway, one of the first guys I listened to for sound concept was someone you might know, Jay Beckenstein. So
oh my goodness.
He's the man. He has got a gorgeous sound.
Yeah.
Beautiful sound full sound on the instrument.
Well, there's a guy who I mean, I think he started that way. I mean, as soon as he put the instrument in his mouth, he sounded like that.
Did it? Yeah, it's just natural.
You know what I mean? It's really kind of it's a chemistry between his embouchure and his bone structure or brain cavity or whatever it is that causes the tone.
Yeah.
It's just some guys just sound unique right away.
I'd spend all my time copying your CDs, Spyro Gyra CDs, every single note, hours. I'm not kidding, hours. I'm thinking like 6 hours a day.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just totally thrilled to be able to say that you and I have collaborated on a project together, and we, and I can't wait to do the next one. but you were on 2 or 3 cuts of my latest CD, Deep Chill. And we got to talk a little bit about how we did that, which is really interesting. I called Jeff up and I said, Jeff, I need a sax player, and you're the first guy that I thought about that I might want to do this. And you were like, yeah, sure, I'd love to be a part of it. And could you I'll send you some tracks and just play over them and send me the tracks back, which in this day and age, digitally, it can be done that way. Basically you need a server where you can put up large files, and literally within a week I had Jeff Kashiwa on my record. I never saw his face once. I just flew in the tracks. He gave me a bunch of different solos to work with, and they were all great, and their sound was fabulous. I mean, the method that you used, maybe you'd like to tell me what mic you used and what preamp.
Yeah, my friends tease me because I'm always changing gear, but for that one, it was, I do recall, it was the Neumann TLM 193, which is a darker mic. Mm-hmm. It's not really bright mics. TLM 193. And I believe, I was going into an 1176 UA, Universal Audio, but I wasn't using the compressor. I had it on 0. The guy at the store told me that's a good way to do it. You don't actually compress your sound, but it goes through the electronics of it and gives it a flavor.
Right.
So I did that. And into an M-Box. I had regular inbox at that point.
Oh man, but the sound was beautiful. And you did it did we do it at 44.1 or did we do it at a larger resolution? I forgot.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Probably 44 or
44.1 at 24-bit, yeah. And it just turned out so nice. And I remember it was originally 2 cuts that I wanted you to play on. Mm-hmm. And then later on, we decided we needed another tune on the record. Yeah. And I called you, please, could you just do one more for me? And you did an amazing job on Coming Attractions.
It's a great melody.
So let's just listen to a cut from Deep Chill that Jeff played on. This one, I feature him a lot on. It's called Fearless Fostic. back to your beginnings. This first record, which was Remember Catalina?
Yeah.
It was on Fahrenheit Records, and I see that you actually did some work with Dave Samuels.
Yeah,
on that one.
On that first one, that's right. Yeah.
That must have been interesting.
Oh yeah, he's a wonderful musician, tremendous musician.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely brilliant.
I snagged him at the time we recorded those tracks. I was living in Newport Beach, California, and was on the phone with him saying, when are you going to be on the West Coast? He says, I have a gig with Spyro Gyra in San Diego on such and such a date.
Was it Humphreys by the Sea?
Yeah,
we were at then?
So I said, I'll fly in a day early and we'll do your tracks. And so it worked out great.
Wow. And you went to, what'd you do, Steve Reed's studio? Or?
Yeah, Steve Reed's Sonic Jungle.
I just did a podcast with Steve Oliver, and he was telling me about Steve Reed's Neve board.
Yes, classic.
And, he's really well equipped for the analog sound. And what was it like the first, your first project at that time? I mean, was it all in the studio, everybody together?
No, we did overdubs.
You did overdubs, yeah.
The first session, let me think about it. It's a great question. Yeah, I think we did it one at a time. I had demo sequences, one at a time replaced. Start with the drums and the bass. And that was back in the day of. We did do it to 2-inch tape first of all, so we got a good sound, I feel. But then we transferred all that stuff to ADATs.
Oh, I see.
And then at that point, I was carrying around an ADAT all the time.
I see. Let's listen to something off of Jeff Kashiwa's first record, Remember Catalina. finding out that a lot of people are still using 2-inch tape and creating beautiful music with it still, and going to Pro Tools after that, or some kind of digital editing software from the tape machine.
That's how we did my latest one.
Yeah.
We did it together to tape.
You're talking about play.
Play together, yeah. And then, the core rhythm section.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got the tape we liked, we transferred it a high bit rate. We did it at 96. 24.
So you think 96 is the analog equivalent?
I tell you, there's no loss. We A-beat it after we did it.
Really? And who's on play? Can you share
It's
that?
my band, which I call Coastal Access. It's Dave Hooper on drums and Melvin Davis on bass.
Wow.
Alan Hines on the guitar.
Yep.
And keyboardist, we actually switched out the keyboardist and had Russell Ferrante come down and track with us. So,
gosh.
yeah. But I'm gonna go on tape or on hard drive here and say the next project.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some Schumanity on there.
Oh, please.
There's gotta be.
Please.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I owe you.
No, man, it'll be great. I can look forward to it.
I'd love to do it, man. But getting back to the beginnings, you were with the Rippingtons when you were doing these original first couple of solo records. I mean, that must have been crazy back then.
It was a crazy schedule. I've been a very patient wife, but on the road with them and give her a kiss and then be in the studio for a couple of days straight.
Right. I mean, gosh. I mean, and you actually did do a track with Russ Freeman on one of the earlier solo records.
Yeah, on Walk a Mile.
Walk a Mile. Okay, there it is.
He played on Saratoga. That's right. I forgot about that.
I've scribbled a bunch of notes here, and I'm trying to keep up. This is the first time I've actually used reference guide.
You don't need any of that.
I know. I was just wing it. Good time to listen to that cut, Saratoga from Walk a Mile. This is Jeff Kashiwa featuring Russ Freeman. that like? Trying to juggle Rippington's schedule and your schedule must have been impossible. That's what I am forced to do with Spyro.
Yeah, you gotta really hustle and give up some sleep. But I think it's one of those things where I believe when you're working on your own project, especially, you just find the energy. It comes from the universe that, you start to hear your stuff come alive, and that excites you and fires you up for the next step.
I understand that completely. Yeah. It really does free you up to be yourself and to not try and fit into a box.
Yeah.
It gives you a completely different way of looking at yourself and your potential. Which brings me to the actual leaving of the Rippingtons. I mean, that was an amazing move on your part. I mean, it was a consistent gig, and the money's coming in, and then you just decide, okay, I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
I must say, envious.
Well, don't be. I mean, it's been. It was one of those things where everyone just assumed, oh, there must have been a huge fight, or there must have been, and it wasn't anything like that at all. It's just, I think it's time. It's now or never type of a feeling.
Exactly. That's a great decision in life.
That's what. Well, I tell you, this is why I call the first release, my first CD after the Rippingtons, called "Another Door Opens," because that's the whole concept.
What a great name for a CD like that. I mean, another door has opened, and you've just gone right through it.
I firmly believe that these kind of opportunities are not. You don't have to wait for them patiently on your couch staring at your phone. I mean, you create every opportunity.
So you did a lot of your own promoting and your own networking.
Yeah, and it's the energy that you put off. If you're constantly in the thought of, I hope I don't go bankrupt.
Right.
Then guess what's going to happen?
Yeah, you're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great advice.
And
because that's always a worry.
Sure it is. Yeah.
When you start from scratch in the music industry, it's a real struggle. Because, I mean, I don't know what your contract says with the Rippingtons. I mean, you can use the Rippingtons name, or you can't use the.
Oh, there was never a contract. I wasn't really signed to the group or anything like that. I was just a sideman.
Okay.
But you're alled to say
you were a
former member.
Sure. Yes.
Because that's more biographical.
That helps. But when people don't know you by name, they usually don't, pick your music and listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a very strange catch-22.
Yeah, believe me, it's no false modesty on my part. I don't feel that the Rippingtons gig, in terms of album sales, helped me that much. It's like,
okay.
It didn't.
Well, that's good to know.
Didn't.
That's good to know. So none of the Rippingtons fans went to your
maybe
website.
a couple, but I think it was just like starting over again. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm you're my hero for doing that, and I'm really glad you did, because you came out with some really beautiful solo pieces.
Thank you.
So what do you have lined up for gigs? I noticed that you have a bunch of gigs. You have one in Phoenix, and you have one in Reading at the Berks Jazz Fest. That's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you have this Rippingtons reunion coming up.
Yeah. Well, we did this last summer, which was actually the 20-year reunion last summer. It was a blast, and I think I did about 6 or 5 weeks with them.
Yeah.
It's great to be back in the saddle again. Great to see Kim again.
Oh, Kim is
Russ, of course.
Fabulous cat. Man.
Yeah.
I miss him so much.
It was a wonderful time, and then Russ called me up, or actually, he said, if you're into doing more, you're welcome.
Right.
So there was a hole in my schedule for the next run, so I'm going to do a couple more in April.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have that relationship, always open. It's like a friendship first. And then a business second or third,
I love Russ's music. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then the Sax Pack. This is another project you got going on with Kim Waters and Steve Cole.
Yeah.
That must be a blast.
It's too much fun. It really is. It started off as a joke. Started with the name as a joke. I was watching the Rat Pack.
Right.
Humphreys. I was backstage. I was actually playing with Acoustic Alchemy as their guest. And so we're backstage watching the HBO, and the Rat Pack remake comes on. Yeah. We're watching. I think those days are great. I just love that era and the camaraderie.
Right.
And Miles Gilderdale, the guitarist, goes, "That's it, the Sax Pack."
The Sax Pack.
I said, perfect. "Miles, I am stealing that name for you. Thank you." And I literally got on the phone the next day and thought, who would be? It's all about the chemistry. It's not just having sex. Sure. It's about the friendship on stage. Bring the party on stage. Bring the party that's backstage on stage. Uh-huh. And so that's the kind of concept of the group. And so I called my friends. Called Kim and called Steve. Wow. And they both said, "Hell no."
No, they must have jumped on that.
Yeah, I said, sure, man, let's try it out. What the heck? And that's kind of been our whole thing. It's like, hey, you know.
So is there a CD in the future for the Sax Pack?
Yeah, there is. The only recording we've done so far has been on my Peace of Mind CD as a bonus track. There's the three of us on there as the Sax Pack. But we're on 3 different labels. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge. And also paying attention to our own careers. It's been a little bit of a challenge. But I think what I propose is to do a live DVD. That sort of circumvents any kind of contractual obligation, I think, if you do a live DVD.
Right.
All 3 labels benefit, and et cetera.
My goodness, all these things going on. The Sax Pack, for instance, who is your rhythm section? Is it a...
It's interesting. They're from, they're not my band, they're from Chicago.
Oh.
Steve said, hey, why don't you just check my guys out?
Okay.
And it really clicked.
So it's Steve Cole's guys.
Mm-hmm. And then the first couple of years I picked a guitar player from New York. And the reason is because he's played with all of us before, Carl Burnett, and then Mike Raschuti.
Oh yeah, Mike's great.
Yeah, and then this year we switched guitar players to Jerry Johnson, another member from Chicago, from Steve's group.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really looking forward to getting started. So that'll be our first gig at Burke's.
It'll be at Burke's. Man, I wish I could be there for that. So this new CD, is it play? Is it in the process of being produced right now, or
it's finished? It's being mixed right now.
It's being mixed.
Yeah, so I have got a rough mix in my car, and I've got both it's both rewarding and painful to listen to the first mix because it's stressful for some reason. It's like you want it to be right after all this work. You want it to be just right.
Yeah.
And some of it's good, and some of it's not quite right. So you got to make notes. And
no stone left unturned.
Yeah.
You got to dot the I's and cross the T's. Yeah, we just went through that too. We just mixed the latest Spyro record.
So I'm actually kind of curious. I don't know if this is going to be part. I want to ask you a couple questions. Are you and Jay? You live on different coasts, but do you like talk on the phone? Like, what do you think about the symbol on the what?
Actually, this whole bi-coastal thing when I moved to Las Vegas brought me and Jay closer as friends because we communicate more now. Mm-hmm. When we were making the record, obviously we were calling each other every day. And it kind of brought us closer,
Cool.
And I'm planning on doing one of these podcasts with him in the near future.
Yeah.
That should be interesting because we can really get into detail as to the beginnings and all that stuff. I love the beginnings.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's in everybody's career. That's really what kind of makes you what you are today. Is what you went through back in those days.
You asked me about my beginnings and roots. And truly, it's not because you're standing here. Truly, Spyro Gyra is one of the main important musical groups for my existence in music. It has a lot to do with just the beautiful songwriting and the playing, but I think it's like who you were. You were actually a group.
Yeah.
You weren't a bunch of studio guys. You were guys that hung out together.
Yeah.
Would have a beer together or whatever, and just and fight together and
well, back then,
I mean, you understand what I'm saying.
We're way too old now for that.
just be like brothers. That's the thing that really appealed to me.
Yeah. Well, we all, especially Jay and myself, listened a lot to Weather Report. They, to me, were the pinnacle band. I mean, they were the apex of what a band could be together. Yeah. Musically. Because they were constantly rewriting. The genre was almost, what is it? It's jazz, but it's still got that rock thing, especially when Jocko was in. And we were just blown away by every single record that ever came out by them, so they had a big influence on us. So the way you're talking about Spyro Gyra, I talk about Weather Report. Yeah. I also wanted to talk about changing gears here, is your Iwi experiences. When did you first pick it up? Is it when you heard Michael Brecker play it? Or
Yeah, I was at I know exactly, it's actually, Michael Brecker recently passed, as you know.
Yes, I don't like to think of it as that. I think that his body passed, and his music is blossoming. Yeah. So to me, he's not gone.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Miles is not gone. So that's one of the beautiful things about being a musician.
Yeah.
is you really are immortal in one sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go ahead about
that. Yeah, well, he was on the day after his body moved on. I grabbed his first solo CD. I just wanted to listen to Michael Brecker's stuff again,
Mm-hmm.
And I opened the CD up, and a ticket stub fell out.
Oh.
That was of 1980 something, 86, 85, at the Palace Theater in LA when I was going to school at Cal State Long Beach. Went to see him, and that's where I first saw the Iwi. And it was like one of those moments where, of course, I already know he's a great player. Then he has this other new new thing, this new dimension he's bringing out, the iwi, and it was like my jaw dropped to the floor.
Right.
Because, not because of the technical facility, but because of the sensitivity of the instrument.
Right.
That's the thing that got me. It's so musical. And the way you played it In a Sentimental Mood, just delicately. That really showed off that it was a real instrument, not a gimmick, not a toy,
right.
but a real musical instrument.
Do you find that the sensitivity, the input sensitivity is maximized at this point?
Yeah, and this is not a commercial, but I'll tell you, the new Akai 4000S, it has no brain. The brain's inside of the instrument. It's just one unit.
Really?
They did a great job with this thing. They got great editing software. The effects are on board, and the breath.
So it's all in the instrument that you're holding.
The breath threshold is great. It's the best ever.
Wow. And is it a wireless?
Mine is. Yeah, you can either put a guitar. I mean, you could put I use a guitar wireless on mine.
Wow.
And it's fantastic. But it's if anyone is curious, you can go to YouTube and type in Jeff Kashiwa iwi, and there's an iwi performance I did with a looping machine.
Yeah.
You can check out.
Wow. I'm going to do that as soon as we're done here.
Please.
But anyway, who are you listening to these days, Jeff? Besides your own mixes.
Yeah. I like to listen to a lot of children's nursery rhymes as my daughter's 4 years old. I'm going to be in the... She'll be... Her name is Kathleen, and she'll be in the back seat there, and like every musician, when you get a new mix, you want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to check it out. And she's like, Daddy, put on Teapot. You got the checked it and put on
She's 4 now.
Little Teapot. And then she's, Daddy, sing it.
So that's what you've been doing.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about having her around, truly, is that she's a funny little person, but she pulls me out of my head in the best possible way.
Brings you back to earth.
Yeah.
This is what life's really about.
Yeah, that's the best.
It's got to affect your music positively.
Well, I'll tell you, she'll be making an appearance on the album, even though you can't hear it, because I recorded some of my saxophone parts. Some were done live with the band, and others were overdubbed. And those other parts I do in my basement, headphones and a mic and Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And her little dollhouse is right next to me.
Oh.
So she's like there on the floor playing, and I got my eyes closed and I'm blasting away. She didn't seem to mind. And I'll open up and realize that for the last 5 minutes she's been standing in front of me with a doll and an apron, talking, saying, "Could you tie this, Daddy? Tie the apron, Daddy." And I can't hear her, right? But the mic is picking her up.
Oh, so you kept it in.
Well, some of her little voice is going to be in there. You can't hear it compared to saxophones; it's so much louder. But when you solo it in between my breaths, you hear, "Daddy, Daddy."
Oh, that's fabulous. Any plans for more children in the future?
No.
Wow.
Just the one.
Oh, that's great.
We won the lottery with that one, so.
Oh yeah, sure. Obviously, having a family and being a musician and traveling, it must be painful.
I spent the 2 weeks before Christmas. Did a gig with Acoustic Alchemy in London, in Soho, at a jazz club, and it was really great fun to play every night and stuff.
Of course.
But the time of year, it was really hard to be away from my family. It was a special time of year for us.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
Yeah, but you must be on the phone with your daughter and your wife every night.
Yeah, a little bit. Hearing about the time change and the cost of it all and everything.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Well, have you gotten into Skype and all stuff like that?
Yeah, we do that.
I love doing that. We talk to our grandchildren on Skype, and they love it. But yeah, kids it's just an amazing thing. I think that's the reason why we all do what we do, is so we can influence positively, not only our own youth, but all youth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I've begun to realize that the original reasons why I became a musician are not the reasons that I'm still a musician. Now it's really just to kind of spread peace and love in the world.
You've always said that we're peace warriors, and I think about that quite often, because we are. And it's if you're leading a group and worrying about the contracts and then the ground transportation and the airline tickets and all this stuff, it's almost like you hit the stage and your mind's not ready to play because you're thinking about the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to make a note to myself to just chill out and basically get to what you're talking about. That why are you here? What is your purpose in the next hour and a half?
Right.
And that is to just play from my heart, be honest, and just actually what comes to mind more often than not is let go. Mm-hmm. First of all, let go of all those external worries, but also let go of what you think you can do and can't do.
Exactly.
let go of everything
Yes.
and just let it go, let it flow through you.
Steve Oliver calls it a out-of-body experience.
Yeah. That's what music is.
Yes. A lot of times before I do a concert, I'll go and walk around out in the audience. Sometimes they don't know who I am, which is fine with me. But I'd like to get a vibe as to, to get a look around and see what kind of people are there to see us play. And
Sure.
And you really get an idea of like, wow, these people got out, got dressed special and got in their car and found parking, and I'm looking at their problems, what problems they went through,
sure,
and all the energy they had to put together in order to get there, and then dish out the money to get the ticket and to find the seats. And I've gone to concerts and I've had horrible experiences going to concerts because it's just all kinds of people, and you're squished in, or you end up out in the lawn in the rain or something like that, And I said to myself, man, I can't wait to give these people the kind of concert that they walk away going, man, am I glad I came here.
That's a great attitude. It's a really good attitude.
So it really doesn't matter, as long as you're getting to them and they're walking away from it feeling better about themselves and their life. Then, and that's why I do it now. I just do it because I feel that there is a mission that I have to complete.
That's right.
And I know that you're doing the same thing, and I thank you for all your time.
My pleasure,
today.
Tom.
Well, you're doing great, man, and God bless you, and
thanks,
keep up the great work.
Up next week on Music Conversations on Jazz, Tom Schuman talks with guitarist Steve Oliver. Recorded before a Spyro Gyra show that Steve Oliver was opening for, Tom and Steve talk about working together on Steve's last 3 CDs that Tom helped produce, as well as the new guitar by Carvin that Steve is developing called the NS1. Join us when we catch another music conversation on jazz.